and it'll hit home for me because it's me, and it'll make sense to you because...
You look directly at me, as in me?
No, because
okay.
you know me. So, what are some chronic diseases that we suffer right now as a society? Diabetes.
Rheumatoid arthritis.
Rheumatoid arthritis.
Heart disease.
Heart disease.
Cancer.
Yeah, let's hit a few more.
Arthritis.
Thyroid disease.
Osteoporosis.
Yeah. MS.
Multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
Lupus.
Yeah.
Any autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
What else?
Crohn's.
Crohn's disease.
Anything that takes a long time to form. That doesn't happen
Perfect.
overnight.
So
It doesn't happen overnight and can't be cured. Or some of it can be cured.
that is the definition of a chronic disease, is something that doesn't happen overnight. It's not acute in nature. It means that your body has been developing it for years. And by the time it's detected, it's already been there for a long time. And that's what we're all going to die from.
Thank you.
Me too! Unless we know what to do about it.
Okay,
Okay? Nobody's getting out of this life alive, right?
that's true.
But chronic diseases are now running so rampant in our society that, well, we see young children with chronic diseases. So how can a young child have a chronic disease? If it takes a long time and years to develop, how can it possibly be? How does a child get cancer?
It's in their genes. It's the environment. It's in their genes. It's there.
You were at my cancer talk,
There's sense in there.
and you told me, and I made everyone say over and over again, what percentage of cancer is found in the gene?
5%?
5%.
I remembered that before you even said it.
So it's not in the genes.
No, so what are we doing? Is it chemically?
It's in our lifestyle.
Are we chemically, our lifestyle.
It's in our lifestyle. So in 1978, 5.19 million Americans were diagnosed with diabetes. In 2013, it was up to 22.3 million. So more than quadrupled the number of diagnoses in just 35 years. Obesity has gone up 45%. So now half of Americans are obese. Cancer has absolutely just crushed everything else out of the water. By 2030, 1 in 2 men will be diagnosed in their lifetime, 1 in 3 women. Heart disease has blown through the roof, up 36.9%. And by 2030, over 40% of the American population will be living with chronic cardiovascular disease. Insane. So I want to tell you a story about myself. So chronic diseases are alive and real, and they're destroying your life, and they're destroying everyone that you know's life as well. And so I like to think of myself as being pretty healthy. I know that my patients can't be healthier than I am, because I have to have a healthy mindset in order to help people get healthy. However, 2 years ago, I had some really nasty, interesting stuff start showing up on my body. And
Yeah, nasty.
Very precisely.
Yes.
And what it came down to was that I 100% was expressing chronic degenerative disease at the age of 30.
That's not funny.
And I was intelligent enough to pick up on it. And I was also intelligent enough to do something about it. And I had connective tissues in my body that were breaking down. That's not a good sign at the age of 30. Creating some major, major concerns for me mentally and physically to think, if this is going on, where else is it going on? And the answer is everywhere. So I started this new crusade in my life where I had to start asking different questions as a healthcare provider that went beyond only focusing on the nervous system. And the most important aspect of your health is your nervous system. Preserving and protecting your brain and spinal cord so that all life can be coordinated with function from every cell in your body to every action and reaction that's happening in your body. So the best place to start is always with the nervous system. However, I come to a point in my life where I was saying, why am I showing signs and symptoms of chronic degenerative diseases at the age 30? And I said, if I don't figure this out now, it's going to get worse and something bad is going to happen. Right? So I went on this new crusade over the past 2 years to figure out why that was happening in my body. And I was able to completely and entirely reverse it. And, my team knows that we've been working on this detox program for the past year. But I had to go through that for a whole year before I could understand what really was happening to my body. And I have the answers to that, but it didn't come easy. It came over 2 years of researching and learning exactly what was going on with my body. And I'm telling you that because that's a real story about me, and there's only one person in this room that knew that, and that's my wife. So, and we're in a small, intimate group, I feel like I can tell that story. So, it's very, very real, and it's very, very scary. But what we have to do is we have to acknowledge the fear that we have, and we have to turn that fear into action so that that fear can get resolved. Because if there's fear in the body, and fear that you're going to get one of those diseases, because statistically you will, unless you turn your fear into an action, just like I did, and that's what I can encourage and build that up in people. Because I promise you that and I saw some, here's what I knew. I knew I was going to see some doctors, and I knew I probably was going to not listen to what they told me. But I had to go down that road, because I had to see if what I thought they were going to tell me was what they were going to tell me. And it was spot on. They told me exactly what I thought that they were going to tell me. And I left their office, and I came home, and I said, well, I'm not doing that. But I had to have that happen so that I knew that I was on the right path. And now I know that I'm on the right path. And I know if you listen to what I tell you, you don't have to go down that path. And if something comes up, you can turn to the innate healing forces and powers in your body, and you can heal from them. Okay? So, chronic degenerative diseases are chronic, but we now know that they're happening faster than they've ever happened before, because our world that we live in is more toxic. Okay? So, there's 4 components to all chronic disease. All right? And I thought about this all morning. So number 1, there's disconnect between the brain and body. Doesn't matter which one of those ones that we listed. It can be any of them. There's disconnect. So your body's healing power is turned off. We'll get to why, but there's a disconnect. So we should always, always, always start with reconnecting the wires. Would you agree? Because it doesn't matter what else you do. If the signals from the brain aren't getting to the body, they're going to not work. Is that like...
What do you mean by signals?
I mean...
Are you talking about being positive? In other words,
Yes.
I'm positive in my mind that something's going to change. So, will it?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
I'm talking about the nervous system.
Like a physical impingement. Or
I'm talking about...
Okay.
I'm talking about over the nervous system, rides a signal
Okay,
through the wiring.
okay.
And the brain is telling my toe to move, and I move my toe. But very few people that you ever come in contact are going to comprehend and understand how that toe actually moved, or how your brain and body simultaneously worked in regulating and coordinating that motion. But just like that toe moved, also those signals are going to your heart, your lungs, your liver, and your kidneys, and other cells to fight off nasty things and get rid of toxins. So I'm talking about the nervous system.
Okay.
And I'm specifically talking about how chiropractic removes those interference signals. But we can come back to that. Okay? So number one, every component of chronic disease is there's a disconnect in your nervous system. But can everyone agree on that? I've been studying this for a year, and this is not rocket science. But very few doctors, and even fewer people that you know, will ever comprehend the simplicity of really what's happening. It's just that getting to the root of it can get complex, and that's where there's a disconnect in the treatment. So number one is the nervous system. Number two is your diet. I've never come in contact with someone who could convince me or even convince themselves that it wasn't important to eat healthy. Everyone knows it. Yet, very few people can practice it. And I already told you, I mean, our diet in this culture is upside down. Okay? So, here's what I want you to think about. Anytime the media is telling you to do one thing, I want you to look 180 degrees in the opposite direction and ask, what's the opposite of that? And there might lie your answer and your solution. If media is telling us, and the American Heart Association is telling us that fats are still bad, you should ask yourself, what's the opposite of fats are bad? Fats are good. And there lies your solution to cardiovascular disease. So, as we're on the diet thing, I want to read you this, okay? This just happened. You guys are on Facebook. Are you on Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you seen the article that just blasted across Facebook about how oils are really bad for your heart now?
No.
The coconut oil?
All oils. It was on USA Today. It was in newspapers. It was everywhere. Okay.
I saw that.
You saw that. Okay, I saw that too. And I was just having a conversation with a really intelligent individual on Sunday night who's, he's a smart dude. And he's a chef and he cooks. And he just said something to me about oils and how he took oils out of his food. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, so there's no fat in your food? He's like, yeah, my people don't want fat anymore. And he's like, did you read all these articles? And I'm like, what? So I ended up seeing this article that the American Heart Association just released a statement. It says they're still blaming saturated fat for heart disease. And let me just read this to you because this is absolutely crazy. So there's a scientist, and his last name is Kumro, and he just died in June. Okay, and this guy was considered to be the man who studied and the foremost leading front of fat and cardiovascular disease. He's been studying it for 80 years. He's actually the only individual who sued the Food and Drug Administration, and he sued them because he said, you need to stop blaming saturated fat for heart disease. And he sued them and wanted them to remove trans fat from processed food. And he won, and he convinced them through the court system that we needed to stop feeding our people trans fats. And if you don't know, most countries in the world won't touch that stuff. And it's in a lot of our processed foods. So he convinced the FDA to remove it from foods. And in 2018, the ban will go into effect. Right?
In other words, they won't, in 2000, it won't be there.
You will not be allowed to process food and have trans fats in it. And it's because of this guy's work over the past 80 years. He found that if you consume a 2% increase in calories from trans fat, you double your risk of heart attack. 2% increase. That's like eating, some...
It's like eating an unhealthy salad
Well,
for
it's,
like a weeks consistently.
It's like
throughout
eating
your life.
Ritz. It's like eating Ritz peanut butter crackers one time a week. Because Ritz peanut butter crackers
You're so good.
still have trans fat in
One
them.
more time.
So good.
Okay, so
Apologize for all looking at you.
Look at you go, look at me.
so the truth is that saturated fat and cholesterol have been wrongly vilified as the central culprit for heart disease and stroke, leading manufacturers to substitute trans fat in food products. So the only reason they put trans fat in food products is because the FDA and the American Heart Association said that saturated fats were bad. Do you remember this? And that's when everyone started eating more sugars. Okay? So they wrongly vilified this fat that is creating a problem. And then the American Heart Association just came out with a statement, you guys saw it, and said that a better product than saturated fat is vegetable oil. And they just said this. Okay? And we know that that is not the case. And what I didn't tell you, and the reason that it's believed that the American Heart Association just released this article was because that guy that I told you about, he just died at the age of 102. So the irony here is just mind-blowing, okay? So look to what they're telling you and turn around and look the other direction, and there might lie your answer, okay? And it's just kind of interesting how he just died, and he was the one who sued them, and he was promoting saturated fat back into the diet, and now they released this study that says that vegetable oils are your key. And it's just so mind-blowing, okay? So diet, diet, diet. If you don't read, buy this book on audio and listen to it. And this book will teach you 90% of the diet that I'm going to teach my patients during our detox program. So our detox program is going to teach people how to run on fat, not sugar. Simply put, think of sugar as being gasoline.
Cancer.
Gasoline. If you turn your car on and close the door of your garage and you decide you're going to sit down and read a book, you're probably not going to wake up. It burns very dirty, and the byproduct will kill you. Okay? Think as fat is something that burns very clean, or maybe we could say think of sugar as like the dirty byproduct that comes out of burning fossil fuels, and think of fat as a clean burner. What's a clean burner that we use in camping?
Wood-wise?
No.
Type?
Like when we go camping, we buy these little canisters and we burn them.
Oh, those particular. I'm not sure that.
Propane, butane.
Yeah.
It burns clean. So you
White
could
gas, stuff like that.
you could sit in your garage and cook a meal and read a book and be perfectly fine.
But if you have listened, every year somebody dies from running their propane grill in the garage.
If they have no
Oh, yeah.
smokestack. And that's
Right, well,
what I'm getting at.
Yeah, oh.
And the smokestack is like a fire in your house without a smokestack is going to fill your house up with smoke. If you have a smokestack, the byproduct can exit, and you can still reap the benefits and the results from burning that fuel. Okay? What we're doing is we're teaching the body to run on fat, not on sugar, and the results are astonishing for what this can do for treating chronic diseases. And the reason is that chronic diseases are indeed a byproduct. Sugar and getting all the toxins out of our diet, we can start to heal. Okay? So the number 3 thing is toxicity. All chronic degenerative diseases have a link of toxicity. And here's why. Even if it's hormonal, right? Because we know a lot of chronic degenerative diseases are hormonal based. Right? Our body needs hormones to function. And those hormones catch a ride on, it's called a lipid biolayer. So a blob of fat. Tiny little blob of fat is what carries and transports the hormones from your body to the cell. And that fat layer has to dock that boat somewhere on the cell membrane to deliver the hormone to the cell to create a reaction. And toxins take up the slips. So the boat comes in and there's no room in the marina. Which is why hormonal imbalances are a major, major key to chronic degenerative diseases. And the reason is because toxins take the binding site for the hormone that's getting delivered to the cell. Okay? Toxicity. None of us can run from toxicity. It's constantly and chronically surrounding us. But if we can eliminate the source of the toxicity, we can get to the bottom of it. Okay? My class on Friday is going to go deeper into that.
Friday.
Thursday, sorry. Thursday. And number 4 is the physical, chemical, emotional piece to the chronic degenerative disease. Physical, chemical, and emotional. So, emotional imbalances can drive disease. Do you guys know that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because if you believe that you're dying, you're probably dying. And if someone tells you that you're dying and you accept that, you're still probably going to die. Alright? Because we know that so many times people are living with chronic degenerative diseases and they don't know it. And because it's a chronic thing. And then when they get that diagnosis, the doctor hands them their disease. And from that point on, they spiral downward. And you're like, well, what the heck? I've been living for 20 years and doing fine. Doctor says, well, you've had it for 20 years. And then all of a sudden we see this person who seems like they're managing and maintaining their health. They get that diagnosis and everything falls apart. And I'm telling you, because I experienced this firsthand with my own health, when the doctor tells you that you have blank, turn 180 degrees away from it and do not accept that. Because the moment that you accept that, you are doomed. Because then it becomes you, and it becomes your thoughts, it becomes your emotions, and it becomes every action of every single cell that contains you. And I'm not saying it's not sometimes it's good to know that you have something going on because then you can react to it. So, do not accept a diagnosis as something that is of you. Because any chronic degenerative disease outside of the body does not exist. If you cut out a tumor and you take that tumor outside of the body and put it in a dish, it no longer has the properties of the tumor. If you take diabetes outside of the body, what does it look like? How can you take diabetes outside of the body? You can't even take cancer outside of the body. You can't take Crohn's disease out of the body. You can't take Alzheimer's outside of the body. So what I'm trying to tell you is that a diagnosis is just a pathologist's best chance at trying to treat you, but it doesn't exist outside of your body. And they're trying to treat it inside of your body, but it's a mechanism. It's a mechanism that's applied to an outside the body in approach, and it doesn't work. Nervous system, diet, physical, chemical, and emotional traumas. What else?
Positive
We're
attitude.
looking at the smartest kid in class.
I know.
Toxicity.
Toxicity,
We
okay.
did toxicity.
We did.
Oh.
I was recapping.
Oh, I was like, we already did it. I thought we were
Nervous
looking for
system,
another one. I was like,
diet.
that.
Toxicity,
Oh.
physical, chemical, emotional.
Okay. I'm like, I did
There are
that.
4 links and components to all degenerative chronic diseases. My whole family, lots of my family has been plagued with Alzheimer's disease. it doesn't start when they find it. It started decades before it's ever detected. And right now is when myself, my brothers need to be focusing on making sure that we have clear nervous system, that we don't have the toxins that my grandma's all dead, that we are eating a healthy diet. You know, they took my grandma off of a high-fat diet. You know what the brain's made of?
Fat.
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 You know where Alzheimer's lives?
In the brain.
In the brain.
Yeah.
Can you think of a more idiotic thing to do for a woman who's battling Alzheimer's disease? It's a death sentence to take good fats out of your diet. Why do they take good fats out of her diet? Because they said she had high cholesterol.
Not from vegetable oil or anything.
No. So
Not from
let's
sugar or
take
anything.
away
Definitely not.
fats and let's put you on a cholesterol lowering medication. A death sentence to my grandmother. And I know that. That doesn't mean I can save her. You guys get that? Are there questions or things that we should bring up before we go our separate ways tonight?
Go ahead.
Ask a question.
You know, you talk about cholesterol, and my husband, Max,
Yes.
had his first heart attack when he was 50
Mm-hmm.
and had a 3-way bypass at that time, and that his veins, you know, his blood vessels were caked with cholesterol. I mean, they're just jammed full. And since then, he's had a stent and another bypass, and
Wow.
but I have to tell you that we did not follow the no-fat diet. We never used margarine again.
Yeah.
We used, I've always used olive oil,
Mm-hmm.
but in his family, they seem to grow cholesterol. And because he had a brother who died at the age of 50,
Yeah.
he's had a sister who's had, I can't tell you how many bypasses, and another sister who's had 2 or 3 heart attacks.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we know that it's in their family,
Yeah.
and we can only hope that my side of the family, which has not had heart problems,
Mm-hmm.
you know, keeps my kids sharp.
Yeah.
But have you ever heard of Joe Piscatella?
No.
Okay, he's wrote several books, and he had a heart attack and bypass surgery at 32.
Wow.
And so he went on a search to find out why. And it was cholesterol. So he's worked with doctors all over the United States trying to figure out what way to get around it.
Hmm.
And he's written 4 cookbooks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to write to him, or he's on my Facebook. I'm going to send something to him about the doctor and what else they're doing with the fats. But Joe just walked into the hospital the day that Max had his heart attack and said, "You will not eat this, this, or this. You can eat red meat, fish, turkey." You know, and let me tell you, I don't like turkey.
Well, red meat has fats and cholesterol in it.
But they're good fats.
That's the difference.
Yes.
There's a thing as good fats and bad fats. Okay? Margarine and trans fats and hydrogenated oils, partially hydrogenated oils, are bad fats and they'll kill you faster than anything on this planet.
But I haven't used those things in years,
I understand that.
and he still has
So,
the buildup.
so what you need to do is you need to read a book called, or listen to it on audio, called The Paleocardiologist.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
take my word for it because I'm not a cardiologist.
Mhm.
Take a cardiologist's word for it.
Okay.
Okay? And he will teach you how there are components and links in the body that will drive overproduction of cholesterol. And one of those being toxins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the other one being sugar. Okay, it's well known that arteries clog not from the cholesterol, but from damage to the arterial wall that is caused from inflammation.
Okay.
And it's also, there's no such thing as good and bad cholesterol.
No.
Okay, so we've learned that LDLs are bad cholesterol and HDLs are good cholesterol. So they've taught us that if your HDLs are high, your heart disease will be low, and if your LDLs are high, your risk for heart disease will be high. But now we know that there's different types of LDLs. There's VLDLs, there's HLDLs, and there's LLDLs. And so there's all these different types, and certain types of the LDLs are more attracted to the micro tears in the arterial lining,
Okay.
and they stick to them.
Yeah, they do.
And that comes from inflammation.
Mhm.
And I disagree with the one comment that you made, and it doesn't say that I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
I disagree that that cholesterol will increase your risk for heart disease. And the reason I disagree is because there also has been lots and lots and lots of science and research done from communities that strictly eat fat.
I believe you.
And those communities have very, very low heart disease. And I don't think that it's the heart, it's the cholesterol that's the culprit. And it's not my opinion, it's other doctors' opinions. It's the inflammation that's the culprit. And surely if we're eating bad fats and have high inflammation from an over sugar regulated diet, we're creating a perfect storm for a heart disease.
I say that for 5 years, probably we stuck to this. He didn't eat a lot of beef and things like that. Turkey was probably the main supply in the house, and so was chicken, and so was fish. And one day I just said, I can't stand this. I can't eat
You're over
any
turkey.
more turkey. I can't. Thanksgiving, I'll have one piece, and then it goes in the garbage can.
You overdid the turkey.
Oh God, yes. But he did very well when we cut out the crappy stuff.